Hey everybody, Arky Homesteader channel here. I'm Arky Rick. You hear those war drums? You hear them? They're pounding back there. Kind of reminds me of when I was a boy back in Texas and the Cuban Missile Crisis. They had us in school, they would make us sit down in the halls, they'd have special assemblies, and we practiced covering our heads and curling up in the corner as if that would help you. But I remember I used to wonder, what are they doing? Why is this? Is Russia that mad at us? And I didn't know much about it, but I knew it was the Russians. And, it was scary. I can remember them even sounding off warning alarms in the school that I was at that time. This would have been, gosh, I guess around in the 60s, maybe late 50s. And I remember then I used to think, man, how bad is this bomb they're talking about? Well, they're pretty bad. And it makes you wonder how fragile the world is right now. All this controversy with our election and how the Democrats are fighting the Republicans and Antifa and all these damn crazy people out there. Makes you wonder. Makes you glad you live in the woods. I know a lot of you don't, but I do. And I moved here a long time ago, not really with any kind of a nuclear conflict in mind, but I did move out here for the peace and the quiet and less restrictions. But all this talk, kind of makes you wonder what could happen. These missiles that they're talking about, these weapons that they're using or thinking of using, they're bad news. I mean, not only are you in a world of trouble when it blows up, then you got to deal with the after effects from it, the radiation. Which way is it going to blow? Do I have a shelter? Most of us don't. I don't even have a shelter. I've talked about years about building them. I've actually dug a hole and never got any further than that, I'm ashamed to say. Always seems to be something else that takes the money and the time. But I kind of wish I had one now. I have a friend nearby that has a shelter. And I remember when he was building it, I was kind of envious of it because it was stout, concrete. Walls were concrete and the ceiling was concrete. And I thought, he's doing it the right way. But, I'm hoping that it ends up being nothing. But it really makes you wonder, these guys that are running North Korea, I find it hard to believe are just one guy controlling all this. I'm sure there's other people involved. But, you see them on the news and you see pictures of them and they're all clapping and cheering, and it's kind of weird. We're about the freest country there is in the world, and the one thing I've never seen that kind of dedication or screaming and yelling and jumping off the, I'm sure a lot of it's just show. But it's sad that we have to deal with this situation. It's makes you wish that Mr. Kim Jong-un, or whatever his name is, must not have got very much love in his life. I believe that you are what your father is. And a lot of times you reflect the things that you've seen him do and he taught you, It's not always good things. And I guess if you look at this young man's situation, he's just like his dad was, ruthless. And controlling a whole country and controlling millions of lives and, controlling nuclear weapons of all things. I think we're used to having other countries that are maybe not exactly the best buddies of ours having nuclear weapons. But the problem with this guy is he's threatening to use them on us. I remember back when Khrushchev was in power and he was beating his shoe on the mantle and telling everybody in the United States he was going to bury him. This reminds me of that. This guy's the same way. And I think he's even a little more crazy. But, these games we play with countries and people's lives, it's just unbelievably crazy. And, it's kind of the reason that I'm sort of a loner in so many ways, and many others that I know are the same way. Nobody trusts the government anymore. And the things that we were led to believe, we're finding out now they're lies. 9/11, there's a lot of questions around that. And the Kennedy assassination, Good Lord. I don't know, it makes you just want to dig in and wait for the bad guys to come. But on a lighter note, this is a good reason for you to prep. This is a good reason for you to can more goods. And when you go to the store, buy a little extra bottle of water. Get yourself canned goods, green beans, corn, all that stuff, We do it all the time. Sometimes I buy 2-3 cases just I don't need it, but I like to put it back. And if you buy a little extra every time you go to a grocery store, and I know it's hard. It's hard. That stuff's expensive. Stock up. One of the things you're going to need is food and water. And water's not that hard to filter. There's many good websites on YouTube that teaches you how to water or filter water. You can filter, rainwater and even dirty creek water, whatever. You can filter it. And then after you filter it, it's a good idea to boil it. And you'd be surprised. I've got 5,000 gallons of water in reserve in a swimming pool, and it's green as green pea soup. But I know if I had to, I could drink it. I know how to filter it. I know how to drink it. And I've got another catch basin on my house, 275 gallons. It's full. It's a little cleaner because it's in a black tank. It doesn't get green like the one that I have in the swimming pool. We're canning. We've canned 80 quarts this year. I was just talking to my wife this morning, and we're going to can some more tomatoes. They're starting to pop out on the vines. We've got spaghetti squash that we're putting back, and anything that we can freeze, dry, or can, we're going to do it. And like I said, I've never been per se as a prepper, but more and more my lifestyle's starting to command it, and the conditions in the world is making it happen. Raise yourself some chickens. That's a good source of meat. And it's just, who knows? Who knows what it may bring. I remember a number of years ago we had an ice storm here, and the power was out for 17 days because we live in a rural area. But I had a generator, we had electricity, we had freezers and refrigerators ran, and a few lights and a television. And we lived pretty comfortably. The way we took a hot showers, I had a turkey cooker. I had a 12-volt pump, and I'd heat that water up in that turkey cooker. And then you had about 6 gallons of hot water, and we just ran the hose into the shower, and we took showers. And there were people all around us complaining that they hadn't had a bath in a week, and we were taking one every night. I believe truly in my heart that anybody can survive an emergency situation as long as they don't panic. And that's the one thing, people get out in the woods and they get lost and they just get scared and start walking in circles and all. Sit down and use your head. Somebody's going to find you. God, if you got to eat leaves, eat them, look for things to eat. Eat bugs. eat worms. If you can't turn over a rock and find a bug, you know. But I've just always felt that way. I've never felt that I couldn't survive if I had to. Now I'm on the grid, and but I use it sparingly and conserve it. But to me, it's cheaper than setting up solar right now. I just don't have the money to do the solar. I want to do it, but it costs money. You know, my electric bill's less than $100 a month, and it'd take a lot of $100 bills to do a decent solar setup. But I'm not against it. I think it's a good idea. You know, you just got to be able to do it. I am conserving water and storing water, you know. But the electric thing, I haven't done that yet. So a lot of you folks that are moving out into the forests and fields and country, and you're going off grid, and I commend you for it. There's a family nearby here that is off grid, and they seem to be doing fine. They've been that way for several years. They're starting to get into solar, and you know, they've got water storage going on, and they did have a well drilled, and all they got to do is hook a generator to it, and they can pump water if they have to. So anyway, kind of a boring, dull video, but just some things on my mind I wanted to share with you. And peace be to this world. Hopefully this stuff will blow over. And God bless you all, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.